Hi, it's Tuesday night. It's 6:33 because Nick LeFave is quick. He told me to give him a few minutes after the news tonight on WZZM, and he took exactly 2 minutes. And here he is. I'm very, very honored to present Nick LeFave from WZZM on my show tonight. Nick,
Hi.
how are you tonight? Thank you for coming.
Yeah, happy to be here. I'm glad you asked. And it's a short walk up to my office from the studio. So, yeah, 2 minutes sounds about right.
So I started to ask you what books you're going to talk about tonight, and you were telling me the greatest thing about having a book in your office. I just had to have you share with everybody. So, Nick, what are
Sure.
you talking about tonight?
Well, the current book that I'm reading is Rage by Bob Woodward. Shocker, I'm reading a book by a journalist, a political journalist. Um, I know, but I always keep a book in my office or at work with me because if I need to detach, if I'm in a writing slump, if I'm just need to detach a little bit, like a lot of people do, I'll read a chapter, and it'll take me sometimes a longer time than it normally would to get through a book, but it's just real good midday therapy for me. If I gotta separate for a second from the job.
Oh, that's what I was wondering how you would ever find time to read. You actually, can I ask what book you keep in your office?
Right now, Rage by
Oh,
Bob
it's
Woodward.
Rage. Okay.
Yep, that's the one that I've currently got in here. And I think I'm about three-quarters of the way through the book, and I don't think I've been able, simply because we've been so busy lately, I don't think I've been able to read a chapter in probably a month. Um, but I'm busy. They're very busy, very long days when I get to work. I love my job, but yeah. So but it's good to have here. I always like having a book nearby when I'm at work.
Is it always a political book? Are you always doing homework for your job, or do you ever escape?
I do escape. I found that in the last 4 years, though, politics is obviously more front of mind for a lot of people in the last 4 or 5 years than they have been for a lot of people. And I've read both of Bob Woodward's books, Fear and Now Rage. I read Katie Tur's book about covering the Trump campaign in 2016. I'm going to be getting Jonathan Karl's book from ABC News. But I do read other things. One of my favorite books is most people probably know the movie from the early 2000s, The Pianist, by Yitzhak Spielman. Um,
Yes.
that's one of my all-time favorite books. Another favorite of mine, and yeah, it's political, but so am I. But if you've ever read The President's Club, um, and there are two authors to it, I forget who it is. I've gifted the book to someone else since. I gift books after I read them, and
And Nick, I'm
it
going to have to immediately look it up because I'm a librarian. The
yep,
President's
the
Club.
President's Club. I believe there are two authors to it. Came out about maybe it came out right, I think, when Barack Obama's first term was starting. So it's maybe about 10 years old. And it's basically just full of these great anecdotal stories of the interactions that living presidents have with one another. Like some of the things that I remember are Bill Clinton didn't know how to salute. And so he didn't know how to salute. So he asked Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan taught him how to salute. Um,
Fascinating.
um, George Bush, the second George Bush, famously was not a real good speech giver. He went to Bill Clinton for advice on how to give a speech. And one of my favorite anecdotes, I love these anecdotal stories. Hubert Humphrey, forever associated with the Great Depression, was actually, and FDR ignored him, sent him into the wilderness. FDR just wouldn't have anything to do with him for obvious political reasons. But after World War I, Europe was starving, and America instituted a food rationing program to help Europe to not starve. That was Hubert Humphrey, or not Hubert Humphrey. I'm buried several decades ahead of myself. Herbert Hoover.
Right.
Hoover. I was talking about the wrong one. So yeah, I'm talking about Hoover in the 1920s. And then after the Depression, and he leaves office, and FDR eventually dies, and Truman wins World War II. Suddenly, we have another problem with Europe, and they're starving. You need to have another rationing program to help stop Europe from starving to death. And he goes to Herbert Hoover.
Um,
So yeah, so I love those anecdotal stories in that book. It's clearly, by the way I'm talking about, it's one of my favorites.
I can tell. And I've got Nancy Gibbs as the author.
That sounds right.
Okay. And 2012.
Yep. About 10 years ago, I said, yeah, so that sounds very right.
And that is available to check out at our Rockford branches and our Plainfield branches right now. I had to do a little plug there. Can
Yep.
I ask, have you read any Doris Kearns Goodwin?
She is one of my favorite presidential historians, but I have not read any of her books. I know Michael Beschloss is another one. I've read some of his stuff. And there's another gentleman. His name's escaping me. I'm just having a brain poof. But no, I've not read any Dolores Kearns Goodwin yet. She did write Lincoln, I believe. She did write the book Lincoln, on which the movie was based, though, I think. A Team of Rivals.
Team of Rivals, yes, she did.
Yeah.
But the reason I ask is because the book that you liked so much reminded me of something Mayor Carey from Walker recommended on my show called Leadership in Turbulent Times. And it's about different leaders throughout history, including Lincoln and a few others, and anecdotes about them in their hardship and how their leadership helped. So I think you would really like that one.
Oh, that does sound like a good one. Yeah.
I have to recommend. I'm a librarian.
I like recommendations. I never know what my next book is going to be because the list is so long. It's almost like I have, okay, here, which one of these 20 books that people have suggested am I going to pick at random now? But I'm very particular. If I get about 2 or 3 chapters into a book and I'm not hooked, it goes away.
See, I love that. I had a father come in the library and heard him tell his daughter, you have to finish it. And I said, well, bring a few in case you don't like it. You'll have backups. Yep. And he'll say, no, I'm teaching her to finish. I'm like, but there's so many books in the world.
Yeah. You see, a book to me is like, I heard someone reference one time, like a book is like a person. And if you're talking with someone for 5-10 minutes and you decide that you're not really a fan of theirs and you're not going to get along, why stick around? And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of that's a rather cynical way of looking at it. But yeah, I have 2 kids and a full-time job. I have precious free time, and I suppose I'm not going to dedicate however many hours into a book if it doesn't have my interest in the first couple of chapters.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Can I ask, because you've got 2 kids, do you have a favorite book that you read to them when they were little?
Well, they're still both very little. One is 4 months and one is 3 years.
Oh,
so yeah.
So you're reading to them now.
Every single night, my 3-year-old, we have, and I don't mean this rhetorically or literally, we have mountains of books in our house. And some of my favorite memories already, this was a year or so ago, she would go chasing after my wife, shaking a book at her, crying because she wanted somebody to read it to her. So right now, her favorite one, it's by Janelle, I forget the last name, but it's called Stella Luna. It's about a fruit. About a fruit bat. So, but she loves, to my wife's great dismay, she's into superhero books like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. But she loves Stella Luna. What else does she really, really like? I mean, there's so many. She goes in these cycles. I think there's the Magic Caterpillar or something like that. So she very much enjoys reading, and she'll point to a word and she'll want me to go through the letters with her. Like, what's that letter? So I'll like Stella Luna. We'll go S-T-E, and she's already at the point now where she's recognizing saying the letters before I even get to them, which is great.
Oh, that's amazing. You're definitely raising a reader. Way to go.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate you spreading the word about great books.
I had a great time. I appreciate it so very much.
Yes, everybody watch Nick on WZZM. Thanks so much, Nick.
Oh, thank you. This was a blast. I'm sorry it took me so long to schedule a time with you, but no, I would do this anytime. I love talking. It gives me an excuse to talk to people about something other than politics. And
don't you need that this year? Isn't that a relief?
What's that?
I said, don't you need that this year? Isn't that a relief?
Yeah, and it's my job. I'm first and foremost a political reporter, but family, friends, everybody, sometimes the first things they come up with me are, what about this? What about that? And so it's nice to oh, I get to answer questions about something that don't have to do with Lansing or DC. This is going to be great. That's why I like reading Stella Luna now.
That's right. You can go on TV and talk about Stella Luna.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I got to thank Catherine for setting this up with you too. You got my contact info. You're down in Ada, you said?
Yes, I'm at the Amy Van Andel branch, and I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. And next week, I'm going to have one of the construction workers who actually helped build the Amy Van Andel branch. I met him as he was carrying huge panes of glass with a couple of strange metallic mitts that he was holding that's making up our stairway. And I said, you are doing an amazing, how do you even do that? And I said, do you like the library? Do you like books? And he's like, I love books. So we started a conversation. I thought, how great to have him on the show too, and talk about the building of the new library and about the books he likes.
I love it. I'm trying to
Join
think of
us
his
next Wednesday. Okay, good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.